Hi, beautiful human. If this is your first time connecting with me, I am Morgan Wild. I am the creator of Rising Warrior Collective. I am a survivor of childhood trauma, and today I work one-on-one with other survivors to help them heal from the effects of childhood trauma. If you're here, I would imagine you are starting to connect the dots between what happened to you as a child and how that is showing up for you in your adult life today. And maybe you landed here because you are experiencing what I call the cycle of self-sabotage, as you can see by the title of this video. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this because I feel like it is a very common cycle that we go through during our healing process. And when we don't really understand it, it can get us down and really spin us off of our path of recovery. So what this looks like is you, like I said, you're here because you have started to connect the dots between what happened and how it impacted your adult life. And you've chosen to take the steps to start healing. You've started to commit. Maybe you have picked up a few books. Maybe you listen to videos like this often. Maybe you have even decided to start working with a coach or a therapist who is trauma informed. You're really starting to do the work. And maybe you're a few months in, a few weeks, and things are starting to feel better. Your mental and physical health is improving, and your outlook for the future is starting to feel better. Overall, you're moving in the right direction and you're feeling the momentum pick up. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get sideswiped by something. And it feels like all the work that you've been doing has just been thrown out the window. And all of those old feelings start to swim back into your body. Those feelings of self-doubt, of fear, anxiety, all the pieces that you've lived with for so long. And then we go into what I call the cycle of self-sabotage. This is where we start to doubt the entire process. Maybe we even start to doubt the person that we're working with. They're not doing enough to help me. They're not saving me. I'm unable to do this work. We start to go inward and we blame ourselves and we start to beat up on ourselves and we start to have that doubt. We might even start to question, am I just too broken? Am I not fixable? All of these things I'm speaking from personal experience. I've been on my journey for 8 years, and I have had this cycle happen to me countless times. The reason this happens is because healing from trauma is fluid. It's not linear. It is a messy process, and we tend to have hills and valleys and dips. It's like a roller coaster ride sometimes. It can feel really wild. We can have these stretches of feeling really great. We're on top of the world. We're doing well. Sometimes, myself included, we even feel like I don't even need therapy anymore. I'm doing great. And then something comes along and spins us out. And all of a sudden we're like, shit, I'm right back to where I was before. That's the thought we have anyway. This process is normal and common. That is like the biggest thing I want to drive home in this video, is that that is common and normal. And it does not mean that you are innately broken and that you now need to give up on all the work that you've done. This is part of walking the path of trauma recovery, because everything in our world can feel really triggering and scary. And it can go in and touch on these old wounds that we have that we're often not even aware of. So the world can feel a little bit like a landmine, like things can just set us off. And when we're in the beginning phases of this healing process, those things are going to come up more often than, say, 4, 5, 6 years down the road, right? When we have a little more tools and resources under our belt to grab onto. So one of the most important aspects of this is to just have awareness around it. My hope here is that by me talking about this with you, that when it comes up again for you, you can sort of go back through that Rolodex in your mind and go, oh, right, I remember watching the video about this. This is normal. It's common. It's expected in this process. It does not mean that there's something wrong with me. So bringing that awareness into your process of like filing that somewhere so that when these things happen, you can be reminded that this is normal. I'm right on track. The second piece we want to bring into this is self-compassion. Is when these things come up, instead of going directly to beating ourselves up and making it mean something about ourselves, instead going inward and offering ourselves compassion. This process is difficult. It's hard. It's scary. It's turbulent. And sometimes we're going to hit some bumps of the road, and we are deserving of compassion and love through the process. The third piece is self-forgiveness. When we do tend to fall into these patterns, we often go back to into these cycles. We tend to go back into our old patterns of numbing out, or whatever we used to do to make ourselves feel better and feel safer. We might find ourselves going back there and falling off track from what our day-to-day routine and work is that we've committed to. It's okay. There's self-forgiveness that can be brought into that process to say, yep, I may have fallen off this weekend and had a really hard weekend or week or whatever that looks like, but I can pick right back up right now and I can get started again. I don't have to beat myself up for this. I can forgive myself and keep going. And the final piece is, once you've checked those off and you've been able to, number one, bring awareness to it. Okay, this is normal. This is common. This is okay. I'm right on track. I'm going to have compassion for myself because this is a hard process, and I'm going to forgive myself for the fact that I've taken a couple days off of my work, but now I'm back again. Now that I'm back, it's time to step into my inner child work, which is the fourth piece of this. Now is going inward and trying to identify what we need. What caused that trigger? What was the thing that interrupted our pattern, made us start to doubt things, made us start to feel that old spinning out feeling? What parts inside of us need to be tended to? Is there a fear coming up, an anxiety? Is there an interpersonal relationship piece that's triggering us? It's starting to look around and connect with our inner being to try to figure out what it was so that we can catch that, maybe journal on it, do some writing, mentally, file it into our brain so that going forward, when that happens again, we can start to identify, okay, this is a triggering thing for me. And I know that when this happens, it also sends me into this spiral. So I can start to bring so much more awareness to the things that are happening and recognizing that the world is not happening to me, that I'm a part of this process and I get to make choice through this, which was not something we had as children very often. So we get to go in there and we get to connect with the part of us who felt scared and likely got triggered through that and sent us into that spiral. So as I wrap up here, just want to reiterate that cycle is normal and common. And just to give an example of this, when I work with one-on-one clients, it is very common that somewhere between week 5 and week 7 that they go through this cycle themselves. They start to doubt the process. They doubt me as the coach. They doubt themselves. It is this very challenging cycle that they go through that I've also had to learn how to navigate, right, as the coach, as the person holding the space for them. But now I know that this is just a chapter within the bigger book. And that if they can walk themselves through this, that we will get to the other side and we will keep going. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions or thoughts, I love to connect. So feel free to send me a message. And if you have any interest in learning what it would be like to work one-on-one with me to help you navigate through your healing journey, I would love to connect. Feel free to leave me a message and let's talk about scheduling a free 1-hour discovery call. Okay, hope this is helpful, and I hope you're having a great day.